break the bias. It's not only men that can speak up.
Yes, so.
Ladies in the house!
Break the bias!
Yes, sir. Ladies in the house!
Break the bias!
I appreciate everybody that has spoken at least. I'm happy I also came a bit early, and I've heard from the beginning how the GM also spoke and everybody that has spoken. And I think it has made the journey a bit easier or smaller. I actually came with practical experience to share and also some scholarly articles. But because other speakers have spoken and for the fact that we are now really behind time, because I also have another appointment I'm working towards. So we are really going to make it practical. And it's going to be interactive. Just like the last speaker said, it's not that everybody have arrived. Until we all say we have arrived, we would have the first female president of Nigeria, maybe. So we are all in a journey and we are learning together. But I want to ask us some practical examples. Please feel free to share. And I hope whatever we say in this room stays in this room, because that's when we can really break the bias. It's good to have the knowledge, it's good to be aware, but unconsciously and at times determined. You're unconscious about it, but you're so determined. It is women that are not allowing women to break the bias. Yes. And that's why some region will say women are the enemies of women. Mm-hmm. But we in this room, women are the friends of women. At least in my career, if I have to count and say, I have a number of women, of which your HR director is one of them, that have helped me to break the bias up to this point. So if we don't support ourselves, and you have to finish, if we don't help ourselves, that's the way it is. It's as simple as that. And the funny thing in the practical work is that we are even getting more support from men than women. For those of us that have passed through to a particular point. Forgive me, like I said, we want to make the next 20-30 minutes very practical. So I would need experience from inside the house. We may not mention name. It could be within, it doesn't matter. It's for us to learn from ourselves. I want one or two persons to just, in summary, who would you say have helped you more in your career path? The male or the female? Feel bold to. Let's torture the men that are listening to us. Okay, if you don't want to speak individually, can we say it? Say your own, if it's women or the men. Men. I didn't hear any women. Women. Okay? Women. So if it's women, say your own. Women. If it's men, say your own. Men. Do we hear ourselves? Do we hear ourselves? So I really don't know where to start from. But when it comes to breaking the bias, even she doesn't know a lot about me. Even she that's been communicating with me doesn't really know about. I think I started breaking the bias when my father actually died. And I was barely a week in the university. I just gained admission. And you know, I'm from a home where you have everything. When I say everything, you never have us to travel on holidays or people come to visit us. My dad is a commissioned naval officer, my mom is a teacher, so you understand. Two disciplinarians. And then to now worsen it, my dad is from a royal family, so your house is more like, you know, a guest house, so to speak. Our house. And I like that. Thank you for that statement, because it's our house. As of today, by the grace of God, I'm already paying school fee. They are still collecting the rent fee of our house that I will use to go to school. They are coordinating the estate so that the children can be able to go to school. So they are still collecting the money of our house, the rent. Is that good or that bad? And one thing is that when you think, and look inwards amongst yourselves, when you think some people have it all, they are the ones that need the help most. Because Yoruba has this adage, and I know you also have another version that says it is in the rich homes you have the worst poverty. That's where you have the worst poverty. Because people look at you and say, aren't you so person? You have it all. So in breaking the bias, I'm calling our attention to it to see if man he doesn't know. If he has not met him in person, if he meets him for the first time, he will know this is the person she's describing. In fact, my dad knew when I started menstruating before my mom. We were that close because we shared the same date of birth, and I took after him. Is that bad that when it was, when the people were commiserating with my mom, they would say, God will keep the children for you, and she would say, that's the person you should help him to beg, but she should not follow him. It was that bad. That whenever he's traveling, I know before, you always have some pets at home and all of that. So when he died, it was like it's the end of the world. And I had to leave school without anybody advising me to. Because apparently he had the accident first or second weekend I got to school. And then he spent some months in UCH where we were. Then I left school when I heard we were going to start exam next month. And then I couldn't stay in school, I went back. So he died on the Children's Day, May 27. So I left UCH May 26. He died May 27. And then my exam, we did burial June 6 and 7, and my exam started June 14. Of a semester, I never attended his lectures. The bias is there, it's clear. And the HOD called, he summoned me and said, well, the advice is for you to defer your admission. That is still good his first semester, we all aware, because he's a public figure. He was a public figure then. So we are all aware of what happened and all of that I should defer my admission. But that's the bias already to say, because you did not listen to the lectures, you cannot make it. That you would have a lot of carryover and you will not be able to stay in school. But by the grace of God, we broke the bias, and I said, well, if I perish, I perish. If I fail, I fail. Let me write the exams. And to the glory of God and not of man, it was since that very first semester that I maintained the best student position till we graduated.
Wow.
It was a semester that I did not listen to the lectures. Why am I sharing this? We have a couple of months. I saw some cleaners enter the house the other time. And now the story of the final year is a different story entirely. When you're talking about breaking the bias, there is a general perception. If I mention the name of the school I went to, you already have a bias also. Because I had my first degree from Osu, now OOU. Why did you say It's the bias. Where half of the students are believed to be prostitutes. And I thought I ask myself, how I never fell into that category is part of breaking the bias. No matter how difficult the situation is, you have to have your dream. And make your dream your goal. And that's when you can really work towards breaking all. Even you yourself have some biases against yourself. That's the honest truth. I remember it was as bad, and I'm proud to tell my story. It's as bad as, how many of us knows about Oguta? Up to my 300 level, I was doing another barrel in Oguta market. When I go home, yeah. Why? The day my mom knew, she cried, because then she was head teacher of a big school. But I smiled when the GM was talking the other time. Up until 1999, teachers only have positions. They do not have income. No income. I remember because she was an head teacher then, they do payroll by manual. They use hand to collect teacher's salary then. It's recently that they did everything that it became bank. I could remember I learned all those I can launder money if I choose to. I learned it from my mom. Because when she goes to collect the whole salary, I think the school, it's a big school, it's about 18 staff, St. John's. For those that know about that, it's a very big school. So she collects the salary in cash. They go to, there is a pay office they go to. So they will put the money in some tattered backhoe. You won't even see her and say, it's money she's carrying. That's the way they carry, and they tell different locations to their teachers to come and collect. So we were the ones making the voucher. I knew how much her salary was. And my two other younger brothers are also in science. So do I want to kill her? No. Do we have properties? Yes. Do we have access to it? No. That's why I said our house. They are still collecting the rent. But if against all these unexpected biases and all of that, God has been faithful. But the first thing is you have to know your onions. You have to decide what you want. Some people will see and be like, hey, who do you want to report me to? If I mention some names, even in this current Nigeria, even the person that handed me over to my husband, my dad's younger brother, is still the chairman of Hotel Owners Association of Nigeria today. He has businesses even in the UK and the US. He has hotels there. Not that I do not do. And that's another aspect, because I want to make it diverse. At home, not only at work, we have this bias against our in-laws. It's natural. And that's one of the reasons I didn't enjoy the benefits I should have enjoyed, because my father really worked. I know how many persons lived in our house, that they financed the school and all of that. But because of some wives that will not want her to become the apple of the husband's eye, because unfortunately, well, it was unfortunately, but fortunately, I'm loved by all of those uncles. So at home, how are we also breaking the bias of these stereotypes of in-laws? Because when we're talking about breaking the bias here today, it's not just about work. It's also about our home. You know how you handle your own sister, your own mother. How do you handle your in-laws? No issues, in-laws are problem. But remember, some in-laws that women are giving you problem, you are giving some problem. Look inward. Those things that we reject, that we are saying is stereotype, we don't want to do, we don't want to take from another auntie or sister-in-law, we are doing to others. Do we agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
So that's by the way on that side. And beyond, we graduated, I got retainers, they do give GA if you are finishing with the best. But there is this bias. So maybe I should give you a little bit. I finished secondary school a bit early. Before I was 15, I finished secondary school. So, and that made me waste a lot of time. I wasted the first 5 years after leaving secondary school saying I want medicine or not. I was given pharmacy, I don't want. I was given, there's this other one they do for 4 years. Anything that is not medicine, I don't want. And on the 50th, I said I knew my dad was going to die. I said, you know what? I'm not feeling medicine for this jam, I'm feeling physics. And everybody's like, why are you wet? Because the stereotype is usually if you don't do medicine, you do nursing, or you do pharmacy, or something important, so to speak. And I remember one of my uncles told me, Tommy, you're not going to do anything with this physics than to teach, and you're going to waste all the talents that you have. So, to cut the long story short, when I was graduating, I was given that GA, the song, the music that was ringing in my head was, you're not going to do anything with this course than to teach. So without getting any other job, I rejected the offer. I served in Anambra State. Well, as God will have it, I still had NYSC award, both state and national. I was given job, it's still in Suka, it's still lecturing job. You can see that at times, even the bias look for you. That's the way it is, and we play in. But we as women, as ladies, and that's why I come up with something we call LAF. L-A-F. We need to learn more about the biases. We need to assess the A. Where do we play the bias? And the F is to figure out. Because I will not say, use this method to come out of it. Different biases have different ways to come out of it. Some of them you have to be conscious and work on it by yourself and for yourself before you now help people around you. So because I know that, okay, this is not what I want, I still rejected that second opportunity. And then the journey of life starts. So fast forward to when I was going to have, I joined Friesland Capital as a management trainee that had over 35,000 applicants, and the exam was done at trade fair. For you to know how the population. It's a long story, I had many stories I wanted to share in between. But apparently, I got it. Guess how many persons were selected out of about 35,000? No. Yes, no, ordinarily, if you see exam number up to 35,000, you expect maybe 10,000, 1,000. But one point is so nice that they employed only 12.
Wow.
40 of us were shortlisted for the interview. And at the first call, when 40 are shortlisted, and I think my exam number was 35 something, so that was serious. So when the 40 were got called, and I knew nobody. There's this general bias that, maybe not a bias, but a fueled one, that you have to sleep around to get promoted or to get the job of your dreams. Ladies in the house, no, that's just a bias we need to break. I like what she said. It's about when people encounter you, it's about you knowing your onions and delivering well, breaking the bias at first meeting point. I'll mention names. Demola Adenuga is the elder brother for Mike Adenuga. He manages the EcoBank as Mike has the group. So for every EcoBank, they have offices. I could remember when I came back from NYSC, there's this general perception that before Daddy died, job is always waiting. Just you go and fulfill your own part. Job is waiting. So Baba tried to do Alake, tried to set in, because it's still a royal house. When I came back, I'm like, that's very good, he's proud of me. While there, he called Adenuga. And he said he's sending a very good material. I still have that. There is contact card. He minuted something at the back and said, I should go. He gave me his number. He said I should call them because if he doesn't save, he will not pick. I went, fantastic, I love this, I love that, I love this. And he said I should come in a week time. After going for like 3-4 times, he's still living, he's not dead. Daddy Ademola Adenuga looked at me eyeball to eyeball and said, who are you? If a traditional man who knows the Adenugas here, they are huge, tall, they are well built, and he's a traditional. When I say traditional, for Alake to call somebody, he's a traditional. When I say traditional man, all those papa. And he looked at me and said, who are you? And I was still trying, you know, the smart guy, I'm Tommy Akinogo from I said, your file is in my front here. I just want to know, who are you? And he said something that he said, you don't want to tell me? I said, I don't understand what you are saying. I said, spiritually, who are you? And I was dumbfounded. Apparently, you know why he asked me that question? Because I broke down in tears. He said, even people that are not as qualified, that do not have your results, that those that link them up to me are not as important as Baba. After you, they have resumed work. But each time you come, I often forget your file, so he changes offices. He will tell you where any EcoBank branch he wants to meet you, tell you where he's working when he asks you to come. Not because we met him there yesterday, we meet him there. And Mr. Ademola said, each time you come, your file is often forgotten where it is left. Down to the coming at the gate that we are around the gate. So who are you? And I asked us the same question today. Who are you? In breaking the bias, you need to discover yourself first. The general bias of perception is that you have linked and connected people, they should get you all the jobs. And that was when I knew that all this bias of job should come to me, or my uncle, father, whatever should give me job. I have to go out all for myself. And guess what? The same week, because at that moment, I knew that something was wrong. In fact, I missed my road. I'm not a Lagos girl. I was born and brought up in Abeokuta. I missed my road because from Ikeja, it was that branch at Allen Roundabout that I met him that very day. I walked up to Lagos. Yes. People that met me on the way would have thought, it was a Tuesday, would have thought I was mourning. Because I was not hiding my cry. I was crying my cry and going. That's why I was wearing my best suit of that. Yes. And then that day, I think you don't want me to say, whatever it takes, on merit, I will forge ahead. The same glow that a major shareholder cannot get me into, if not the owner, I applied online. Normal for their rollout. I was chosen within 2 months. The same week I got Lafarge, and the same week I got Christian Campina. I was at Glow. We are comfortable with Glow before. When you do your final stage, the last person to meet is Mike Adenuga himself. You must meet him if you are a senior staff. And I was being employed for the rollout. It's called rollout department there. And they will tell you to go to Silverbed. There is a particular type of passport for those of you that have gone that far in Glow before. Hey, I've seen my counterparts. There is a particular picture they want you to go and take. You know that you have been selected. They'll just tell you the day you want to meet, I don't know if be available, they will call you. It's the following day you are resuming. I was there when I got the call from Wampos. Was Wampos' journey easy? Maybe no, because the interview, I think we went about 5-6 times. You know, they will say next phase. You meet different persons on the panel, you know, different questions, and we're reducing from 40, 20, till we became 12. I started from that scratch as much as possible because along the line there are a lot of biases to call out. Now in Wampo, coming to my current or immediate fast room, I should announce I was manufacturing manager up until February. I've taken up a new role, so now I'm the R&D manager for Sub-Saharan Africa. Let's talk about on the job now. Manufacturing, the factory is seen as the men's world. No competition, it is. But I have some questions for us. Like the other speaker spoke and said about you preparing yourself. When the HR director was going to talk, she also spoke about retracing her steps as far as 5 years back. How much sacrifices are we willing to make to break the bias? Because the moment you say break, it requires energy. Then you really, really need to also be prepared intellectually, physically, and morally by yourself before you now talk about support from other colleagues. I'll give us some hints. So far, my investigation, you can correct me, that requires the genital part.
Yes, so. Except from prostitution. Prostitution.
Okay. Even prostitution, we have 10 men and female now.
Yes, so.
We have the gigolos and the prostitutes, I mean.
Yes.
So, literally, it's in the bias is in our minds. And don't go with competitive mind. Don't go that I'm going there to go and win the men or to do better than the men. Go there to be better than you are. So this year, this is where I am. Tomorrow, this is where I want to be. And then break them down into steps. And then you are breaking the bias as you are making them in steps and actions. Because if you have them on paper, if you don't have actions backing them up, the bias will even increase. It will not just stay there. Now, the last part I mentioned briefly that I would like to go back. We need to agree with ourselves. We are a representative in population of women. But now talking about GB fields, how do we want to support ourselves and ensure we break the bias even more? By this time next year, by God's grace, if it carries, if we'll be having another International Women's Day and you're still here, what would you like to see? How many do we have women in production operation at the moment? We have them. So I'm happy to hear that. So how many more would we like to see? And how much support are we giving them? It's important. Because if all of us, maybe this is not all the women we have in GB Fruit, but if all of us in this room decide that we will break the bias as a team, I'm not going to sell out somebody, I'm not going to. And another part of it of breaking the bias is that very one is ongoing.